Congratulations, you are now a Head Start employee. You now have the privilege of being able to improve the lives of many children and families in your community. In doing so, you can help make the world a better place. But before you jump right into educating children, doing home visits, or whatever else you will be doing out in the field, you need to first be oriented with specific health issues and limitations you may face when working either on-site or out in the community. Hi, my name is Stephen Smith, a dietetic intern from Cedar Crest College, and I am here to educate you about 3 important interrelated health topics that every Head Start employee should be aware of. First, I will explain what non-communicable diseases are and why you should know them. Next, I will inform you about obesity's relationship to non-communicable disease. And finally, I will discuss some of the limitations you will likely experience when providing nutrition advice and education to families in certain communities. Being aware of all these issues and their relationship with each other will help you better assess your community needs and create feasible recommendations when working in the field. If you have any questions about any of the terms I discuss in this presentation, please ask a Head Start healthcare worker to explain them to you in better detail. So without further ado, let's begin. According to the most recent World Health Organization data, the top 10 leading causes of death in the world from highest to lowest are ischemic heart disease, stroke, COPD, lower respiratory infection, tracheobronchitis, lung cancers, HIV or AIDS, diarrheal diseases, road injury, and hypertensive disease. These diseases contribute to just over 51% of deaths worldwide. What this data reveals about death statistics is that most deaths in the world are caused by non-communicable diseases, or diseases that are not contracted from one another, like for example smallpox, the flu, or HIV. They're diseases that are developed over a long period of time, often months or even years. Non-communicable diseases are especially prevalent in countries that are developed, like for example the United States or the European Union. These countries have overcome many of the hygienic, bacterial, and viral-related deaths that still affect less developed countries today. Because non-communicable diseases are developed over a long period of time, there are also diseases that can often be prevented by healthy lifestyle habits like good nutrition, regular exercise, stress management, and proper sleep schedule. There is no other health disorder that is more impactful on non-communicable disease than obesity. According to the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, obesity is a leading risk factor in the development of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, stroke, lipidemia, metabolic syndrome, osteoarthritis, cancer, sleep apnea, and hypoventilation syndrome, among many others. When it comes to children and teenagers, the United States Census Bureau has estimated that nearly 1/3 of children or adolescents are overweight or obese. Children and adolescents who are overweight or obese have an increased risk for psychosocial problems, fatty liver disease, asthma, sleep apnea, orthopedic issues, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and even cardiovascular disease. As a matter of fact, recent research has even shown that childhood obesity increases the risk for multiple sclerosis in both genders. As a public health worker, you can change the tide and fight childhood obesity. In order to fight childhood obesity, you must first know what children and teens are actually eating. A 2010 study by the American Dietetic Association determined that nearly 40% of the calories consumed by 2 to 18-year-olds came from what many experts call empty calories, which are food or beverages that offer very little, if any, nutrients. The study also found that children and teens typically consume 6 main sources of calories: fruit drinks, soda, dairy desserts, pizza, grain desserts, and whole milk. These are foods that either offer very little or no nutrition and/or are very high in calories. It is self-evident that when our youths are consuming the majority of their calories from these foods, they are not likely getting the nutrition that they need for proper growth and development. When consuming a diet primarily of empty calories such as sugary drinks, non-fortified bread products, or sweetened desserts, children can possibly develop certain nutritional deficiencies that are only seen in underdeveloped countries, for example. These deficiencies can affect the growth of their bones or the development of their hormonal milieu. When consuming an excess amount of calories, children and teenagers can quickly experience an energy imbalance, whereby their bodies are not burning as many calories that they are taking in. This can lead to children and teens becoming overweight or obese. As public health workers, you need to educate families and children on healthy eating, which includes foods that offer sufficient nutrients and are not too calorie dense. Examples of foods are fruits, vegetables, whole grains, low-fat dairy, beans, and lean meats. These are all foods that contain adequate nutrition without an excessive amount of calories. When it comes to beverages, Head Start employees can recommend beverages that contain no calories like water or diet drinks in some circumstances, or even low-calorie beverages like some iced teas and lemonades. These are some very feasible food recommendations to give to families and children in order to combat obesity. Notwithstanding, there are some limitations to them. As public health workers, you can often be faced with the problem of food accessibility and financial limitations in certain communities, but being aware of food deserts and food insecurity will help you improve the quality of your recommendations to families. In some low-income communities, families either live very far away from or lack the transportation means to acquire healthy food and produce like fruits and vegetables. These areas are called food deserts, and food deserts often consist of communities where there are basic supermarkets and/or convenience stores, but no farmers markets or health food stores. As a result of this, families living in these areas are limited to the foods that they have access to. They may not be able to get fresh apples or strawberries or broccoli, for example, and this fact can certainly limit your recommendations for them. Another issue is food insecurity, which happens when people living in certain communities are uncertain whether or not they will be able to acquire food, be it the next meal, the day, or possibly even the whole week. Food insecurity is related to poverty, and it is often multifaceted. According to a study in 2014, food insecurity is related to changes in unemployment, inflation, and rising food costs. The combination of food deserts and food insecurity can make it seemingly impossible to make certain recommendations. But if you have a little bit of faith and some ingenuity, you can come up with almost anything. The key is to talk with the people you are helping in your community. Ask them where they purchase their food, and if there are any healthy and cost-effective alternative foods that they can purchase in these stores. Look around your community and try to find places where families can access fresh food like produce, fruits, and vegetables. And try to find places that offer food at reasonable prices. This concludes your orientation for working as a public health employee for Head Start. You have learned valuable knowledge that can improve the lives of families and children in your community. If you just keep an open heart and an open mind, the sky's the limit.